Coming to the very important aspect for a driver writer perspective, which we should know as such. So, overall, if you ask me, we understand that we have got three different spaces. One is the user space, another one is the kernel space, and the third one is the hardware space. And accordingly, we have got three different entities over here. What are these? The hardware in the hardware space, driver in the kernel space, and the device file in the user space. So when you are creating any device file, remember you are not creating a file in the kernel space. You are creating a file in the file system, which is basically the user space. So your slash dev, whatever you are seeing, this particular file is in user space. Many of the guys have the confusion that a device file is in the kernel space, which is wrong. It is in the user space. Okay, so now if you ask me, each of these interfaces can exist independent of each other. That means I can have a driver, I might not be having other two. Perfectly fine, that can be the case. I might have the hardware, I might not have a driver, I might not have a device file. That's also can happen. Or else, like, I can have a device file, but there is no hard driver, there is no hardware. That's also possible. So what I mean to say is, like, as such, they are very independent entities. They can exist without without others existing. But as you guys understand, having them individually doesn't make any sense. Okay, having the device file individually, you won't be able to achieve your functionality. Having only the driver, you won't be able to achieve your functionality. If you only have the hardware, you don't have the other two, you won't be able to achieve your functionality. So what we want to do is, we basically want to link them. Okay, link them. And the entity which plays a very critical role in linking a driver with a device file is what we call it as the VFS, virtual file system. Now, this term virtual file system sometimes is very confusing, because you have something called virtual file systems as proc and sys. So these are basically the virtual file systems as well. Why do we call them as a virtual file system? Because whatever information you find under them, it's not on the disk. It's basically dynamically generated on the fly. So for example, when I say cat slash proc CPU info, this is dynamically generated. This file doesn't exist on the hard disk. But what I would like to say over here is, this particular virtual file system I am talking of, or we use the term virtual file system switch. We use the term called virtual file system switch. Okay, VFS. Now, what does this particular guy do? The This guy's responsibility is something like, whenever any application operates on this particular device file, let's say you invoke a open on this device file. Let's say when I do something like this, echo slash dev tty 0. When I do this, I'm basically trying to open and write the slash dev tty 0. So what happens is, this open will basically, the request from this will come to the VFS, and the VFS is the one which basically redirect this open to the corresponding driver. So that's why it is important for us as a driver writer that we should register our driver with a VFS. Now, what do I mean by registration? The registration means you are supposed to say that, let's say this is slash dev tty 0. So I'm as a driver writer, what I want to do is, I want to tell the VFS that I am responsible. I am responsible to serve any operations which are being performed on a file bearing the major minor number 40. So you are saying that my driver, the driver which I am right now registering with you, is responsible for serving the file with major minor number 4 comma 0. So you are making VFS aware that whenever anyone operates on the device file with this major minor number, so if you remember, if you understand over here, I'm not registering my driver for the name. I'm registering my driver for the major minor number. So that's what is the first step when you write a character driver, where you say that I am responsible to serve a file bearing the number 4 comma 0, and this is what will basically link you to this particular file. Now what happens whenever application performs open, the call will come to VFS. And VFS, as the name suggests, virtual file system switch, its job is basically to redirect this particular request from the application space to the corresponding driver who is supposed to serve that. Okay, so this will basically redirect your open call to your driver, and accordingly your driver will perform the operation on the hardware. Okay, so VFS role is, when you say everything is a file in the Unix like system, the layer, the entity in the kernel which helps us realize this particular architecture of everything as a file is being done by VFS. So VFS plays a major role in showing everything as a file. Okay, or I can say in helping us materialize the concept of everything is fine, because all the call will come to VFS, and it is the VFS which will redirect to the corresponding driver. Okay, so hope it is making sense to everyone. Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, Sir, like you said previously, whenever the architecture or the kernel version changes, so
Hmm.
we need to reinitialize the VFS also.
No, okay. I need to understand the intent of your question. Basically, see, why do you think it will change? Let me just question you back.
I understand if the architecture is changing, so the major number and the minor number will also change, right?
Yeah, that's fine. What's wrong with that?
If the architecture will change, so we need to reinitialize the VFS also, no? Because it depends on the major and minor numbers.
Okay, now I understood the intent. So good, I asked you that. See, so now what you are thinking is 4 comma 0 is hard coded in the VFS, right? That is what
Yes,
your
sir.
assumption.
Yes,
No, that's
yes.
not the case. It's dynamic.
Okay.
It's dynamic. When you are doing a registration, when you are doing a registration at that point of time, you are saying that I am responsible for the file. I am responsible for serving the major minor number 4 comma 0, and then over here you can create a file with 4 comma 0, and you will be connected to the driver. So here VFS has nothing, no role to play. You are just saying, like, if there is any file bearing the major minor number 4 comma 0, I am responsible to serve it. So why would VFS change? You are dynamically registering it.
Okay, okay, sir.
The table is populated. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
So
sir.
good I asked you that question because I want to understand the intent behind the question before answering that question. Yeah.
Sir, based on that, extending that question further, so let's say
Yeah.
if there has been an update on the driver,
Hmm.
so does that mean the VFS, the new driver will be dynamically registering again for the same category and functionality number?
Okay, okay, understood. Basically, I understood your question. Let's say we update the driver, we change the driver. So is it mandatory that we will be always registering for 4 comma 0, or is it mandatory that we will be registering from 250 comma 0? So I will park your question now, and once we'll move on to the hands-on, at that point of time, I will answer your query. Okay. Okay, so that's a good question. I will just park it for time being. Once we'll reach onto the hands-on, which I would be showing you guys, at that point the things will be more clear. Okay, so your answer is like this, like 4 comma 0 tomorrow for the driver. If it changes 250 comma 0, how we are going to manage this change, and what happens? This is what your question is.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sure. So I will answer that in a while.
So in fact, this minor and major number must be unique in a system.
Yes, it has to be,
Yes.
because there would be a
VFS.
only one driver, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So see, now what happens is in the system, when I say unique, what happens is there should be only one driver serving 250 comma 0. There can't be two drivers serving the same major minor number. Having said that, that doesn't means like you can't have multiple files bearing the same major minor number. That means I can have ABC over here bearing the number as name as bearing over here 250 comma 0, and under the slash div I can have again slash div, let's say XYZ, having the same 250 comma 0 number. The name has changed, okay, but the number is same. That means whether you operate like this on ABC or you operate on slash div XYZ, in both these cases, the only driver which will be serving the purpose is the guy who have registered for this 250 comma 0. That means only one driver. Okay, so in a kernel, there will be only one driver which will be responsible for serving a file with 250 comma 0. But that doesn't mean you can't have the multiple files with the same number. You can have multiple files, but the calls will be redirected to the same device file, same driver. Hope it is making sense.